So you love photography, you want to make it a business in 2025. What do? You came to the right video. We are going over the 10 steps you need to make photography into a business, and these are the 10 steps that I've used for the last 10 years over and over again to establish my business. And big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. We'll talk about them a little bit later on. So step one of this process is establishing the why of your photography business. What is the reason your business exists? This is something I've talked about in the past because it is the most important piece of a photography business that so many people overlook. It is the number one problem I see with people who are looking to make money with their camera. They think, I'm a photographer, I make pictures. That is not how you make money because no one knows what it is you do. So what you want to do is think about your photography business as a service-based business. Now, service-based businesses are typically B2B, meaning business to business, but they can be business to individual in some settings, which we'll get into in a second. Now, typically, when it comes to establishing the reason your business exists, you need to think about the three eternal markets of business. Now, there are some markets that fall outside of this, but the three main markets in business are money, relationships, and health. And money, relationships, and health are things that are always seen as valuable. So as a photography business, what are you doing with one of these three categories? Are you helping someone make money? The way you do that is by working in the e-commerce space. Are you working with brands who are trying to sell more products online? Are you helping that business make more money? That is a B2B example. Now, if you're working with health, this can be B2B. Maybe you are making product photography for supplement companies or businesses that service the fitness community. Maybe you're working with gyms, or you could be working with individuals. Even individuals, if they are social media influencers or someone who sells some type of fitness program, they're considered a business as well. So this is once again a B2B example of how your business operates. Now, when it comes to relationships, this is where it gets a little bit tricky and you go more towards business to individuals. But the way your business provides value to individuals interested in relationships is the classics like children or family portraits. I actually know a photographer here in the Atlanta area who cleans up on family portraits. I mean, she makes so much money and she's constantly booked. It's crazy. And she doesn't even have like a big social media following or anything like that. She just follows all the steps in this video that I've seen over and over with a lot of successful people. And that's how I can speak to this. But she crushes it with these family things because people want photos that document their relationship with their kids, with their husband, wife, with their family, relatives, all that stuff. And also relationships extend a step farther because people want to establish social media clout and share how great their family is. The same thing applies to things like weddings and events and stuff like that. This is where you can get more into the business to individual side of things, but even there's room for B2B there because you could be a wedding photographer who works with a specific venue. There's just a lot of options. But at the end of the day, the number one mistake I see people make is not establishing what their business does. Why does it exist? Are you trying to strengthen relationships? Is that where your value is? Are you trying to make others money? Is that where your value is? Or are you working in some type of area that somehow helps the health of other people? Those are markets that will always make money. Now, from there, we have to go into step two, which is establishing the who inside of our business. Now, everyone has a strength. So use that example I just mentioned of that girl I know in the Atlanta area who absolutely crushes it with these family portraits. She has kids of her own, so she knows a lot of families. She's been in the Atlanta area actually since I think we were in high school. I remember her name from somewhere, but she's been around a long time. So her network is extensive. So when she got into photography and was looking to build up a business, it made sense for her to service an area, a who, that she understood. Her strength was in her family life, the kids that she knew, all the networking that happens through kids, and she was able to establish a business through that network. If she woke up 10 years ago and decided I'm going to be an automotive photographer, but knew nothing about automotive people or the automotive industry or how cars work, she would not be as successful as she is today. Take me as an example. Back when I was working in Atlanta, I was doing a lot of sneaker photography, I was around a lot of music events, and I was basically a lifestyle photographer at the time. So when an opportunity became available for me to work in the e-commerce space to help people make money with lifestyle photos to use in their marketing material and social media, it made a lot of sense because I understood the products and the people that I was working with and what type of messaging I was trying to create with the marketing material that I was building. So as a photographer, you have to establish the who inside of the market that you're looking to service. And typically that who, that perfect customer, is going to be someone that aligns with something that you understand. So let's say your goal as a business is to help others make money. If you don't understand the world of sneakers and lifestyle like I did, but you understand the world of real estate, it makes sense for you to explore real estate photography because this is something that you understand. It's a language that you can speak, and your expertise will translate to the photos and help the business, in this example, the real estate agent you're working with, make more money. Now, step 3 of this process is aligning your skill level with your who, the customer that you're looking to acquire for your business. Now, this is something that grows over time as your skill level grows, but it's important to understand the fundamentals of this as you're just getting started out. So when you're starting as a photographer, you need to get your skill level to a point to where it at least aligns with the low tier of whatever market you are looking to service. So an example of this would be, let's say you're working in the health market and you define your who, your customer, as fitness influencers. You say, hey, I like what influencers are doing on social media. I think they're spreading good messages about health and about getting fit, especially this particular section of the internet. That's who I want to work with and help them grow their brand to spread this message of health. To acquire these customers, you need to make sure your skill aligns with these customers. So if there's a fitness influencer out there that has 1 million followers and their content is incredible and you bought a camera 2 weeks ago, that is a misalignment of your customer and your skill level. What you need to do is build up your skill level enough to where you can find customers who find value in what you can provide, even though it's a beginner level. So you need to look for fitness influencers who are out there just getting started, just like you. Maybe they've been working out for a year and they're just now trying to grow their brand online, but you like their message. You can approach these customers because you've got your skill level to a point to where it's an even match. That's the importance of skill acquisition. As you grow more skills, you now align with higher value customers because as you get more skill, you become more scarce, just like people in any industry who are excelling, and you can align with these customers who see the value you can provide because they're getting more from it. If someone has 1 million followers online and you're looking to help them create content and spread their message, you need to provide a lot of value to them to help them spread that message versus the person who only has 1,000 followers and you're looking to work with them to spread their message. Your value can be a lot lower. The importance of skill acquisition is that skill acquisition makes you scarce. The more scarce you are, the more value you have. And if you can provide more value, you align with individuals who are also more scarce, meaning both of you can demand a higher price for the value you're giving the marketplace and the world. The message here is don't be the person who just goes out and buys a camera and thinks, hey, I'm a photographer. Business does not work like that. So what do you do if you're the complete beginner, you've been doing photography for 6, 8, 12 months, and you think you have enough skills to align with those lower value customers, and you think you can start making a little bit of money? What you need to do is go out and create a proof of concept. A proof of concept is essentially you showing the world that, hey, this vision, this thing that I think I can provide to other people that provides them with value, I can do that. And the way you do that is by creating a portfolio essentially for free. Now, you can do this by finding potential customers and just working with them for free, or you can create spec media on your own. What I recommend doing is just creating the concepts that you have in your head, either with yourself, family, friends, or people you know, just to show that, hey, I'm able to do the thing that I eventually want to offer. When I was working in the sneaker world, I actually made so many images of sneakers and of lifestyle things prior to me actually getting that job. I just did it for fun, but inadvertently I did this step because I created this proof of concept. So when that job became available, I said, hey, I've done a lot of sneaker photography. Here's some examples that I made for fun that I shared on social media, and it actually landed me that job because I had this mock portfolio that I accidentally made. I was just doing it for fun, like I said, but that concept applies here. You have to have some type of proof that you can do the thing you eventually want to sell. Now, step 5 of this process is creating some type of hub for potential customers. As we get into the following steps of growing a business, you need somewhere for potential customers to see your work and for them to potentially contact you and get an idea of what you're all about outside of a person-to-person pitch. The reason why is as we go through the following steps, we're going to focus on networking and also building your authority within your market. Now, as you build authority, one way you're going to get business is through referrals. Now, a referral typically can't see you in person. A lot of times it's the friend of a friend who says, hey, my buddy does great work in this way. Check out his website. So that's what we got to do in this step is establish your website. Now, a website is going to make your life easier with these referrals and in-person interactions in a number of ways. One, it's just going to establish a level of professionalism. If someone meets you in person and you say, hey, go to my website, you can contact me through the link on the site and we can have a phone call, it feels a lot more professional than someone saying, hey, here's my phone number, text me, or hey, check out my portfolio on my phone. If you have your portfolio on your website and you showcase this mock portfolio that you created, you now have a leg up on competition. So my website, evanramp.com, is built on Squarespace, and in this section of the video, I'm going to show you how to quickly and effectively build a website in under 16 minutes. We're going to build a homepage, we're going to build a basic portfolio page, and a contact me page, and a services page, so you can show what your offers are. Now, if you want to follow along with this section, you can go to squarespace.com/evanramp to start a free trial, and when you're ready to send your site live, you can use code evanramp at checkout to save 10%. So let's jump into Squarespace. I'm going to show you how to establish a basic website for your business. So on the Squarespace homepage, we are going to click on Get Started in the top right corner, and we're going to be greeted with all of our templates. You might be prompted with some questions, but because I've already gone through this demo one time on the back end, those questions are not popping up. It's just going to help you find a template that works, but these are all the templates that you can customize from Squarespace. Now on the left side of the screen, there are different categories you can select from to help you find a template that will fit your needs. Feel free to use that if you want, but you can also pick any of these and customize them the way you see fit. But for now, let's go ahead and click on photography and let's look at what templates are available. All of these templates look great and you might have your own style and you can take everything in this video and apply it to one of these other templates. But for now, we're going to click on Condeso right here. And with this template and all the templates on Squarespace, you get different color themes that you can select from to make the editing process easier for you. Personally, I like this blue and white one right here. So we're going to click on that and we're going to click on Start with this design. So now the first thing that we're going to do is go over to the left and we're going to click on Pages, and we're going to go ahead and grab this About page and move it to Not Linked. You can turn it off if you want as well by clicking this gearbox right here and turning off Enable Page, but we don't need that for this example. Now we're going to jump into Edit. We're going to click Edit up here in the top left, and we're going to go ahead and edit through our home page quickly. So the first thing we're going to do is change this header to our name. I'm going to go with Evan Rampt here. I think I like the way all caps looked. You can do whatever your name is or whatever your business name is. That's cool. Now we need to go ahead and change up this header right here. So I'm going to go ahead and double click in this box right here, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this and paste in my own words that I already wrote. I think that looks good. It's a quick summary of what I plan on doing as a business. Now from here, we're going to click on these next elements. This text box right here, we can highlight and we can delete. So we're going to get rid of that text and we're going to get rid of the box. Now we have this image right here. I'm going to go ahead and change this image by double clicking on it and clicking replace right here and uploading a file. So the file I'm going to select, I already picked out. It is this picture of these Nikes that I created in Photoshop. You can make something like this on your own or just use a single static image. It's completely up to you. Now, from here, we're going to go ahead and remove some elements of this page. We're going to highlight over this text right here, and we're going to delete it, and we're going to highlight over this text right here, and we're going to delete that as well. So I think that looks pretty solid from the start. We're going to jump down to this next section, and we're going to highlight it and just remove the entire section. Now we're going to go ahead and edit this About Me page. So the first thing we're going to do is click on this picture right here. We're going to double click it once again, and we're going to replace it. We're going to upload a file once again, and we're going to grab a photo of us. Feel free once again to use whichever portrait or photo of you would like. Doesn't even necessarily have to be a picture of you, but I recommend it because this is an About Me section. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and drag this photo up slightly just to make it smaller so this section doesn't take up as much space. And we're going to go ahead and edit this text right here. So once again, I'm going to highlight all that text, delete it, and paste in my own text. Now when I pasted in my own text, it came up as a little bit of a bigger format. So we're going to change it to paragraph 3, and we're going to go ahead and grab this and drag it up here, which is one of the great features of Squarespace, the ability to just drag and drop things on your page. And we're going to grab this button and we're going to drag this up as well. Now we're going to double click in this button, and we're going to change this from Let's Chat to Contact Me. So we change that, and we're going to map this page to our contact page. So we're going to click on edit right here. We're going to go ahead and delete this, and we're going to search for our contact page, click on contact, and there we go. Now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to make this photo just a little bit smaller, and we're going to go ahead and slide this section up. So by clicking on these dots down here, you can move this section. Once again, this is the cool part about Squarespace's new templates. And from here, we can click in this section, and we can go ahead and drag this up. So now this section does not take up as much space. So from here, we can go ahead and delete this section. Now, by all means, if you want to go ahead and fill these in or customize them yourself, by all means go for it, but the objective here is to build a site extremely quickly so you have no excuses. Now, the next thing we're going to do is in this header or closer section, we are going to highlight this text once again, and we're going to change that to Evan Ranft. We're going to have to do this on every page. Now, once again, in our menu, we're going to go ahead and click on the menu, and we're going to go ahead and delete this about right here because we got rid of that about page. Now, one thing you can do is map your Instagram and Facebook by clicking on one of these, clicking on the text, and then highlighting over Instagram and putting your own Instagram and Facebook or whatever social links you want. That is what automatically comes built into this website. When we highlight services, it goes to the service pages. When you highlight work, it goes to your portfolio. That's one of the great things about this template is it's essentially built for you and you don't have to do too much. So the last thing we're going to do on this home page is go up to our edit footer, and we're going to click on that, and we're going to change our site title and logo from your site title to, once again, Evan Ranft, or you can change that to home if you want. I'll go ahead and do that just as an example. This is going to allow people to navigate back to your home page no matter what page they're on. It's really up to you to decide what you want to do here, but for the sake of example, we'll go ahead and call this home, and we're going to click on save to save all of our changes to our home page. So now that we're back on our home page, we're going to click on this Contact Me page over here. By clicking this Contact Me button, we're going to click on Edit right here, and we're going to go ahead and change this really quick. All I'm going to do is highlight this text, and I'm going to go ahead and paste in my own text right here. I'm going to slide this box down just a little bit to make sure it's centered with Connect, and from there I'm going to click on Connect, and I'm going to change this to Contact Me and get rid of that spelling error right there, but that is all we have to do to customize this page. Now, this contact box is already going to be mapped to the email address that you are using when you sign up for Squarespace, or if you already have a Squarespace account. So you won't have to do anything here. If someone comes into this text box once your site is live and they fill in your information, you'll get a notification to your email. Now, the last thing we have to do on this contact page is once again adjust these graphics that are in the bottom of our screen. screen. So what I'm going to do here is highlight this Condesa right here and change it to Evan Ranft once again. And I'm going to jump down here into our menus, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this about text because we got rid of our about page. But for now, that looks solid, and we can click on save. Now from here, there's actually one more thing I want to do with our header that I forgot. We're going to click on edit once again, and we're going to go up to edit site header, and we're going to click on this account right here, and we're going to go ahead and delete it. If you're someone who puts a course on your website eventually, or you do something with subscriptions where people have to log in, you might want to keep that. But for now, because we're just building this site, there's no reason to have that. So we're going to go ahead and delete that, and we're going to click on save. So now let's go ahead and click on services right here. And once again, we're going to go ahead and click on edit, and we're going to begin customizing this page. Now, one thing you could do is go ahead and replace this image by double clicking on it, but I'm going to go ahead and delete this image just for the sake of example. Now, the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and delete this text box right here because I don't personally think it's necessary. You can obviously, once again, fill that in if you want. But we're going to take services over here, and we are going to drag this into the middle and get it nice and centered. One thing you can do is highlight this text and go into this option right here to center your text. This is going to make it a little bit easier for you to get this centered on your header. And from there, we can click these boxes down here, bring this text box to be a little bit smaller so we can slide this section size up just to save real estate on our screen. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and customize each one of these packages. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on package 1, highlight this text, and give it some type of name. We're going to call this starter pack. And then we're going to do the same thing for our second package. We're going to call this value pack, and get rid of that 2 right there. And we're going to do the same thing for our last package. We're going to go ahead and call this max pack. Now, if you are familiar with a concept called a price anchor, which I've talked about in previous videos, the idea here is to have just a basic package that doesn't seem like it delivers a lot. You want a package that you want to be the primary package that people are purchasing from you, and then you have your max offer. This is like the home run. If someone books this, it would be amazing. So with each one of these offers, you want to detail what they're all about and create a hierarchy within your offers. So what we're going to do is customize each one of these and explain what they do. So for our starter pack right here, we're going to go ahead and click on this text, and we're going to go ahead and delete it, and we're going to paste in a new description. This is going to be a package that seems basic. Notice how I said this is a package designed for brands just getting started, high quality weekly photography to use for social media and marketing. We're going to do the same thing down here for value. We're going to paste in an offer, but as you can see, it's 3 pieces of high quality content per week that can be reallocated into marketing material. So this seems like a much better deal because who only needs 1 piece of social media content per week? Just a starting brand who's just getting going. You want most people to go for this package right here, and 3 pieces of high quality media that can be used for marketing seems like the nice happy medium that most people would be happy with. Now for our max pack, we're going to go ahead and change this description by once again highlighting this text, deleting it, and pasting in our own description. This one is daily content that's focusing on maximizing brand visibility, plus all of these assets can be reallocated into marketing materials. That is basically the max offer that we can only take so many of these clients. It's our home run. The goal here is to have everyone go to this package. So for now, the last thing you want to do on this page is click on one of these accordions right here, double click on it, and as you'll see, each one comes up. We want to click on service 1, and we want to change this to deliverable 1 is what we can call it. There we go, and you can say in here what the first deliverable of this package is. One thing we could say is weekly social media photography that you can use on Instagram, Facebook, and X or something like that. I'll let you fill each one of these in on your own, but you want to list out the deliverables for each package. Now, the last thing we have to do is once again customize the footer on our page. So we're going to change that filler to Evan Ranft right here, and once again we're going to go ahead and delete this about right here because we got rid of our about page. Let's Let's go ahead and click on save. So the last thing we have to do is quickly establish a portfolio page. So we're going to click on work right here, and we're going to go ahead and click on edit. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and delete this text right here just because a portfolio is self-explanatory. We're going to highlight this portfolio. We're going to click on these lines up here so we can center our text, and we're going to go ahead and center this. Now, from here, I'm going to go ahead and delete this image. I'm going to delete this text box, and I'm going to delete this little image box right here. And I'm going to delete this text as well by clicking it and then clicking that delete sign. But from now, I'm going to go ahead and take this 2013 and move it up to our top as a placeholder because we do need some text on our portfolio page. I'm going to double click on 2013 and I'm going to go ahead and center it. And I'm now going to change this to Nike. So from here, I'm going to click add block. And this is going to give us any type of block we want. We could add in lines, shapes, forms, whatever, but for now we're going to go ahead and add in an image. We're going to click this plus sign, we're going to upload a file, and we are going to grab one of our examples that we can show to potential clients. Now, this is a very basic example of a portfolio. I'll talk about a way you can make a more advanced portfolio in a second, but for now, what we're going to do is we're going to make this picture a little bit larger. I think something like that looks good, and we'll go ahead and center it. Now from here, what we're going to do is click on this duplicate right here and drag this down. Now we'll do the same thing with Nike right here. Let's click on Nike, and this duplicate sign is essentially these two squares mirroring each other. Let's go ahead and click on duplicate. Let's go ahead and grab Nike, drag it down, and we're going to click in this text box and we're going to change Nike to New Balance. That looks good, and we can bring up our image. Now we need to click on this image and click this pencil tool right here and click on replace. This is going to allow us to change out that image so we don't have a duplicate. Let's go ahead and drop this in there. And there we go. Now we have two shoe examples in our portfolio. Now, obviously, I would want you to make this a little bit prettier, but it's just an example of how quickly you can do this. So the last thing we got to do is click on this section down here. As you see, these blue bars are above the section. That means we can go ahead and remove it. We can do the same thing with this one. Once again, feel free to customize these templates however you see fit. This is just a basic example. Now, the last thing we have to do is the same thing that we did on all of our previous pages. We have to edit this footer. So we're going to change this to Evan Ranft right here. And we're once again going to go ahead and delete this about because we got rid of our about page. So let's go ahead and click on save. So now in that very short amount of time, we have a website that allows customers to see a little bit more about us, contact us, see our work, see our services, and we can fill out this website more over time and you can customize it the way you see fit. Now remember, if you want to follow that section, you can go to squarespace.com/EvanRanft to start a free trial, follow all those steps, build out the basis of your website, and you can use code EvanRanft to save 10% at checkout when you sign up. Now a quick note on that website. If you want to build a more advanced portfolio, something that I think would look much better than that example, you can check out a video I have linked in the description down below where I show you how to build an advanced portfolio. This is what I use on my website, evanranft.com, but it is a little bit more complicated. So when you're just starting out, you can use something more basic, but as things progress in your business, I recommend going with that more advanced portfolio. So follow that video down there whenever the time is right and you want to make that better looking portfolio. So step 6 of this process is actually something we left blank on our website, which is establishing your offer as a business. This is you establishing exactly what it is you do for individuals. Where is your value? Now, everyone's offer is going to be different based on your interest and your market. So I can't exactly tell you what your offer is, but what I can tell you is a few tips to make an offer that works well. Tip number 1 for creating an offer is create something that feels like a good deal. That's pretty basic, but if a customer comes to your website or you have a sales call with them because they contacted you through your website, you want to offer them something that makes them say, hey, I feel like I'm getting more than I'm paying for here. So when you're setting your pricing, you want to make sure that your prices are set somewhere that is reasonable and aligned with your market. Remember, if your skills are low and you're trying to acquire a customer who aligns with you on skill level, think about their budget. If someone is just starting as a fitness influencer and you're just starting as a photographer, maybe something like $100, $200 for your package is where you start. Now, if you set a price and people are not purchasing at the price that you set, that is an indicator that your price is most likely too high. So in those situations, just lower your price and look to acquire customers. As you acquire more customers and your time becomes an issue, you can now raise your prices from there. That is the general rule of thumb when it comes to setting your prices. If there's a demand for your price, raise your price as that demand eventually gets too high to where you can't fulfill it. Now, another note on setting offers, which I mentioned in the website section of the video, when you establish an offer, I recommend having 3 tiers to your offer. This is so you can establish a price anchor, meaning you can have one price option that is the low basic number. In our website example, this was our standard package. Then I recommend establishing a price that is your max price. This is something that you would want to maybe have with a couple clients. Realistically, you could maybe only service 3 to 5 clients a month with this max number. And then you want to create an offer in the middle that's slightly below the middle. This is your price anchor price. This is where you want to drive most of your traffic. This is your max value offer. So let's go back to our website as an example here of how to establish a price anchor. Let's say our standard package, the one that we established was more basic for people just starting out, cost $200 because that package was one piece of photography content every single week. It's not a lot of work for you, and your business that you're working with probably won't see a ton of return on this. So you want to price it relatively low. Now, your max offer was something that we already said would be something that would be a home run for your business, something that you maybe could only have 3, 4, or 5 clients with every single month. Now, that package was one piece of content every single day that can be repurposed into marketing material. And this content also utilizes your expertise of the market. So let's say this is a $2,000 package. It's a pretty good price for most people because it's going to be a lot of work for you. If we now have 2 prices set, $200 and $2,000, we would want our anchor price in the middle to be $750 or $800. This is a service that gives people enough content 3 times a week to be successful on social media, build their brand, and enough content to establish marketing materials like email blasts and things for their website, but it's not as intense as the max offer. What this does is psychologically, it feeds everyone to that $750 offer. You're looking to acquire customers at this point that is a medium amount of work for you, but is also lucrative for your business. When you only have 2 offers available, customers trend towards the lower price because price is the main driver of those 2 options. But when you have 3 options, value becomes the main driver of those options. So focus on creating value-based pricing and utilize that price anchor as you're experimenting with your own pricing and your own offer. But the key takeaway from this step is define exactly what your business does. What are your packages? How do you serve your customers? In what way, and what are you giving them for the money they're giving you? So now we're on to step 7 of this process, which is networking as well as establishing competence to eventually lead to paid customers. This is a step that is not set in stone, but there are ways to give yourself an advantage. The main one is by establishing your core customer, the person you're looking to serve, as someone you understand. Where is your competitive advantage? Use me once again as an example. Because I was in Atlanta doing a lot of lifestyle and sneaker photography, and I was at a lot of events with people in that world, and I established a name for myself in that world, when an opportunity became available for me to get paid for those expertise, I aligned with that customer because they already knew who I was. They knew I was competent. They knew that people said I was a good photographer, so it made it easier for me to get that paid client. That is what you're looking for in this step. You're trying to go out in the world and get to know your market, become known in the market that you're hoping to serve eventually. Now, the controversial take here that I have is the easiest way to do this is by working for free, utilizing social media, creating content for people, sharing it on social media, and and also doing this in person just so you can get some name recognition and once again establish your competence. The easiest way to get customers is by people knowing you do a good job. How do you let people know you do a good job other than meeting them in person and providing value to them, even if you're not getting paid for it initially? Now, I do want to highlight the nuance here. If you are going out into the market you're hoping to serve, you're networking, you're working for free, you're doing everything you can to establish this competence, you have to have some level of discretion and understand when your value is being taken advantage of. So have a little bit of discernment. If you feel like you're doing too much and people are taking advantage of you, that's when you need to pull back and look for customers who are willing to pay you. Because unfortunately, humans are humans, and there are people out there who will just take and take and take. You want to look for the people who see the value in what you're doing, and you want to nurture these relationships to eventually lead to something paid. Now, step 8 of this process happens once you finally get a paid opportunity. And a paid opportunity will come if you establish competence and authority inside of the market you're hoping to serve, especially if you have that discernment that I talked about and eventually start demanding payment for your services. If you work for free for a couple months and people start to know who you are and someone comes to you and says, hey, could you do this for free? Just say, hey, this is my pricing, let's work out a deal here. Now, once you get to that point where you're trying to work out a deal, you want to negotiate from a relationship building standpoint. Focus on future relationships with your negotiation. This is another huge mistake I see photographers make. They are so focused on getting paid one time that they overlook the potential for reoccurring revenue in their business. The way you establish reoccurring revenue is by getting a client on some type of retainer. So as you're negotiating, you want to think about how can I provide this service in the long term to this customer? Rather than saying, hey, this is a $300 opportunity, look at it as this could be multiple $200 opportunities for the next couple months throughout the year. This also ties back into setting your pricing. If you're working with a customer and it's a one-time thing, maybe your pricing is one thing. But if they say, hey, we want to work with you for 6 months, we need 3 pieces of content every month for the next 6 months, you can adjust that pricing because you're focused on this long-term relationship. Once you get to the point where these reoccurring revenue opportunities present themselves, you now establish a true base of your business. You go from an artist who is occasionally making money to someone who actually offers something. And once you have one reoccurring client, you can take that package and use it as something to sell to someone else. And as your time becomes more scarce, that is when you can raise your prices. Because if you have 4 clients approaching you for the same thing you're doing with one client and it's working, you can now demand more of a price because you're saying, hey, this works for them. We have this deal. If you want this same deal, I don't have as much time, so you got to pay me more. Now, the way you nurture these long-term relationships is by utilizing a principle that my entire career is built on, which is focusing on being an asset to the people you're working for. Make their life easier. If you are a business that is helping someone make money, if you are on time, if you're professional, if you represent their brand well, they will continue to work with you. Your goal as a business should be to improve the life of the person you're working for, solve their problems in a professional way, and you will continue to build these relationships. So now step 9 of this process is pretty simple. Once you have this experience of working with one-off clients and maybe you have finally found a reoccurring client, you need to update your offers. You need to take all of this experience, dilute it down into what you like, what you dislike, what works with your schedule, with your time constraints, with your skill level, and repackage that into a new offer. Your new offer reflects the experience that you have as your business is growing. So let's say, for example, you offer one client something that you really were unable to deliver on. Maybe it was way too much work. You felt like you were underpaid. That means you need to adjust that pricing inside of your offer. Or maybe you found something you really enjoy doing. You found a lot of success with one client. You can incorporate that into your offer and make that your core value offer because you enjoy doing it, doesn't take too much time, and you think it's something that works that can provide a lot of value to others. That is what you want to do in this step. Take your experience, refine everything you're doing to make your business more efficient. And also you want to update your portfolio and showcase your latest and greatest work and go ahead and get rid of that stuff that was your proof of concept when you just started. And now we're finally on to the final step of this process, which is repeating this cycle over and over and over again and practicing patience. My career is 10 years long. When I started out, I was doing basic one-off couples photo shoots, photos for families. Eventually, I did get that job at Epitome, which was paying me $20 an hour. That was like what it came out to. It was a certain amount per day, but eventually that grew to $35 an hour and eventually $50 an hour. And eventually I moved on to bigger commercial clients and bigger deals that I don't have to take as often. I take a photography job every 2 months and then I work on this YouTube channel, and my career is at a place where I'm enjoying everything that I'm doing. But it didn't happen overnight. It came from me refining and repeating this cycle over and over again and figuring out what I liked, what I disliked, reestablishing my offer, and making sure that I was doing things that aligned with others and provided them value. The core takeaway here is this is not something that happens overnight, and it's something that requires iteration over time. There's a reason why I don't do corporate headshots. One, I don't enjoy them, but years ago, someone paid me to go to New York with my friend Chris, and we had a terrible photo shoot, like the worst shoot ever, and it made me say, I'm going to leave this to the people who are experts on this. And I've never offered it again. And even when people have approached me about it, I've said, hey, that's not something I do. That's something I learned through experience and repeating this cycle over and over and over again. But those are the 10 steps to building a photography business in 2025. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If this video helped you out, hit the thumbs up button. And remember, if you want to build a website like the one I built in that section of this video, you can go to squarespace.com/EvanRanft, start a free trial, follow along, and when you're ready to sign up, you can use code EvanRanft at checkout to save 10%. Big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video, and I appreciate y'all for watching. See you next time.